Well, about a year ago, the Brookings Institution released a report with the known facts of the investigation in Georgia, gathered from publicly available evidence. They published a second edition of that report this week, concluding that, quote, Trump is at substantial risk of criminal prosecution in Fulton County. Joining us now is the author, one of the authors of that report, Gwen Keys Fleming. She's the former district attorney of DeKalb County, Georgia, which is right next door to Fulton County. She's known Fulton County DA Fani Willis for years. Ms. Keys Fleming, thank you for joining us this evening.
It's my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
So for we lay people who don't know anything about these grand juries and prosecutions, on the basis of everybody who's testified so far, the information that we know publicly, how close do you think DA Willis is to completing her investigation?
Well, I think there's some reports that she's looking to make some final decisions by the end of the year. And when you think about the time left in this month for the special grand jury to be able to wrap up the witnesses that you just described, possibly publish their final report between now and the end December, that still gives the district attorney time in December to go before a regular criminal grand jury if the special grand jury decides that there is, or makes the recommendation that there's sufficient evidence to bring charges.
So, you know, our lawyer experts on these shows always tell us, don't assume an outcome, never assume what is going to happen. Could you help me assume what is going to happen? Do you think we could expect an indictment of the former president?
Well, I think if prosecutors could assume what could happen, that they would love to have that gift. You're absolutely right. There is no way to tell what these 23 or so residents are going to conclude in the special grand jury room. I think the district attorney was right to be able to get them to hear some of the evidence that she has. So this is actually a preview of what a ultimate jury, if it goes that far, would think about her evidence. And so, again, we don't have a crystal ball. We don't know what the recommendations are. The Brookings report that we wrote, which, again, is just based on the publicly available evidence. Right. So the DA knows a lot more than we do. We've outlined a few crimes that we think could be salient based on the publicly known facts. That includes things like false statements, conspiracy to commit election fraud, and possibly a RICO indictment.
Listen to we just talked about the people who we know, again, publicly have been subpoenaed. The Trump world people, Mark Meadows, Lindsey Graham, Michael Flynn, Newt Gingrich. It looks like she's going to get testimony probably from all of them. There are, as you said, some efforts to delay, but she'd like to get it all done. Is there anybody we haven't talked about who you think would be central to the investigation who maybe has not been subpoenaed yet?
I think folks largely have been subpoenaed. It's a question of whether they will actually testify. And I'm specifically talking about some of the alleged fake electors that she has indicated she wanted to hear from. I think they would be very critical, not only in outlining what their actions were in terms of signing those documents and them ultimately being delivered to the National Archives on January 6th to be counted in lieu of the actual votes from the Biden electors. And so I think those folks, again, not only would be able to provide insight about their own actions, but also who, if anybody, asked them to participate in this scheme. And that may reach people higher up in the Trump circle. But again, none of us know that at this point. Only the special grand jury would have that information, and the district attorney, as she hopes to hear and gather more testimony.
Is it your sense that Donald Trump's announcement that he's running for president again in any way affects Fani Willis's investigation or what she plans to do?
So the interesting thing is that prosecutors have brought charges against people who have been in elected office or former elected individuals all the time. Now, obviously, this is a special case in terms of reaching a former president. But at bottom line, every district attorney takes an oath to pursue evidence or pursue charges without fear, favor, or affection. And that means she'll go forward if she has the evidence without being fearful of the former president, his defense team, or whoever else may be opposed to the prosecution. And she's also not going to do it to gain favor with others that may want this prosecution. Being a DA has a high responsibility, And it's her job to be able to protect the integrity of the criminal justice system by following the evidence. And the Fani Willis that I know will do exactly that and leave no stone unturned.
Well, I know that you have co-authored a report that's based on public information, but the rest of us who have that public information wouldn't have been able to do it without minds like yours. So we appreciate you not only doing it, but coming and telling us how you interpret it. Thank you for being with us. Gwen Keys Fleming is the former district attorney at DeKalb County, Georgia. Thanks for your time this evening.